my favorite political commentators in the space, probably the GOAT, the greatest of all time to do it, the greatest white boy to ever do it, came out and was talking about how Joe Rogan is gay. Like literally, immediately. It's like that. They have one defense. They did this. On his latest episode or whatever, gave a endorsement to RFK Jr. Okay, let's watch.
That's just what they do. That's politics. They do it on the left. They do it on the right. They gaslight you. They manipulate you. They promote narratives. And the only one who's not doing that is Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
You a fan?
Yeah, I am a fan. Yeah, he's the only one that makes sense to me. He's the only one that he doesn't attack people. He attacks actions and ideas, but he's much more reasonable and intelligent. I mean, the guy was an environmental attorney and cleaned up the East River. I mean, he's a legitimate guy. You know, before anybody started calling him an anti-vaxxer, which I thought he was too. I thought he was this nut, this like conspiracy theorist nut, until I read his book. I read The Real Anthony Fauci.
Bro, you're a conspiracy theorist nut. So of course you read his book and you were like, oh, I agree with this.
And I'm like, what?
I love when people go, oh, dude, I thought he was a conspiracy theorist. The guy is a conspiracy theorist. And then and then I read his book about conspiracy theories and I agreed with them because I'm a conspiracy theorist. And I went, oh my God, everything clicked.
How much of this is real? Because if it's all real, this is fucking insane. And we live in a world where we're being manipulated by these health organizations that are being paid by the pharmaceutical drug interests. And these pharmaceutical drug...
So I talked about this extensively yesterday. It's so funny that these guys are basically describing capitalism, how it works, but then like still attributing it to like some random evil. This is like at the heart of liberalism. That's why liberalism, which is anti-materialist in terms of like analyzing the world, has a real hard time avoiding, Nazi sentiments and fascist sentiments, because like every single conspiracy theory ultimately leads to an outgroup, and that outgroup of like shadowy figures almost always is considered Jewish, right? That's how so many of these conspiracy theories, whether it's like flat earthers that think like NASA is owned by the Jews, or any number of different conspiracy theories that like probably start off as not very dangerous, almost always needs to find a scapegoat. Okay, the scapegoat can take different forms. You can call them globalists, the elite, shadowy cabal. You can call them Jews, but most of it is just terminology designed to talk about a group of shadowy figures in the outgroup that is like both weak and also simultaneously very powerful. And historically speaking, it's always Jewish people, right? He's an anti-vaxxer, simp. Oh, hell no, you're a conspiracy theorist too. They are not describing capitalism. You are wrong. That's just copium. Please do not ban this person, mods. I like this one. That's just delusional paranoia. Yes, you're right. He's not describing capitalism. Pharmaceutical corporations, which he will describe in a second, having people that go into the regulatory agencies and what is known as a revolving door, is actually not just in the pharmaceutical industry, it's in every industry. And that in and of itself is a byproduct of existing under a capitalist organization of the economy and ensuring that the regulatory agencies are still, doing the bidding of these mega corporations. Okay. Sometimes the interests of the omega wealthy actually end up aligning with the interests of the cattle, the regular citizenry, the working class. In the case of vaccines, it does. They want you not to fucking, they want you not to die. Okay. Because you're valuable as cattle. You're valuable as workers. Okay. So they don't want you to actually fucking die. They don't want you to gum up the works. They don't want you to fuck up the hospital networks. They want you to be able to go back to work 3 days instead of taking 3 weeks off. That's why vaccines are important for everyone. But ultimately, if you care about, mitigating some of the worst consequences of COVID, then yes, you should get vaccinated. So your interests align in that regard. That's precisely why all of these like these nutters still exist. And then they point to like the very valid skepticism that exists within big pharma and the revolving door between the regulatory agencies. And that, Pharmacy company want to keep you alive because of that's how they make money. Oh my God. But don't you want to stay alive long? Globally speaking, or at least even historically speaking, that is not what has driven pharmaceutical innovation. Even to this day, medical innovation is not simply operated on the profit motive. What turns medicine sour, I would say, what actually holds back innovation in the medical field is literally the profit motive. Dumping a shitload of money into R&D, but the R&D is not actually finding new ways of using existing medication for different ailments, but instead finding new ways of extending your patent is actually against innovation. It actually harms innovation in the medical field. But most novel chemical compounds are still found in publicly funded research facilities, not by people who want to fucking, make billions of dollars or whatever, but oftentimes just people working to genuinely advance mankind, people working to, make medicine readily available. That's why some of the most important medical innovation in the form of novel chemical compounds and their application in the medical field have come from people who have literally given their patents out for no money whatsoever. Okay, insulin being a phenomenal example of this. I don't know why I'm brought out to the forefront. I agree. Yeah, I mean, he is anti-vax, though. Yeah, landlords want to sell you houses. You need shelter. Or landlords want you to rent the house from them. And you need shelter, so you have no choice. That doesn't mean houses are bad as a concept. Thank you. That is a brilliant analogy, chatter. Thank you so much. Okay? I believe that the profit motive should be completely ripped away from medical innovation and the field of pharmaceuticals in general and healthcare in general, okay? I am a major advocate for free healthcare. Major advocate for free healthcare. I think it's gross. It's disgusting. There is an inelastic demand there regardless. So even from a hyper-capitalist framework, everybody understands. Anyone with basic Econ 101, anyone who's ever taken a microecon or macroecon principles class understands that healthcare has inelastic demand and therefore has to be heavily regulated. Okay? That's it. What will be the incentive to innovate? What do you mean, brother? What do you mean? I just explained to you that there is no incentive to innovate in terms of profit right now. Almost all of the novel chemical compounds come from pharmaceutical research happening at publicly funded institutions. You think scientists are only doing science because they want to fucking make money? That's crazy. Anyway. So a lot of this mismatch in this field specifically, the anti-vaxxer shit, is literally born out of that weird juxtaposition of looking at your medical care professionals and thinking of them as people who are trying to farm you, people who are trying to make money off of you. That is where a lot of this skepticism comes from. And I don't think people understand how dangerous that is for the future of mankind. Okay? It should not be profit driven. The people that actually make out like bandits in the pharmaceutical field, in the field of medicine, are not the actual fucking grad researchers, okay? They're barely making ends meet. I fear that you've never actually met someone who is a PhD, who is actually a grad student working on this research. So you just, in your mind, think these are all homosexual Marxists, but then also simultaneously multimillionaires only working on this kind of stuff specifically for the profit motive, when it is the furthest from the truth. Okay? They make maximum $30,000 a year, barely can make ends meet. And the only reason why they're doing it is because they want to advance mankind. Okay? That's it. They have genuine fascination with whatever they're working on, and they want to also make the world a better place. This is a normal incentive that a lot of human beings have, okay? The people that are actually making the money are executives that don't actually play a role in the research part at all. They are the ones who then land on the patents and then try to work as best as they can to extend those patents. Use all the money that they make and dump it back into marketing. Use all the money that they make and dump it back into research and development, but not necessarily for novel chemical compound discovery, but instead research and development for new mechanisms of delivery. This is a trick that pharmaceutical companies use, Big Pharma uses, to extend the patents that they have. Okay? Oh, this was a normal drug that you need, but now you can put it up your asshole. So we still maintain fucking another 5-year extension on the patent. So you can't get the generic version. So yeah, there's a lot of issues here. Proof of your point. Doctors without borders, medical professionals who could make lots of money, still go out into dangerous areas and give care for free. Exactly. People always talk about how, profit motives, and including Joe Rogan, who doesn't understand it, by the way. Joe Rogan doesn't understand the problem. He's literally talking about like how the systems are so broken fundamentally, but doesn't understand what the reasoning is. So inevitably, you just go back to this, they are doing this attitude. Who is they? Well, Joe Rogan himself might not think it's Jews. I don't think he is. I don't think he believes that. But plenty of people do attribute the they to Jews. But it's not the anti-Semitism in this circumstance that I'm like, that I'm complaining about. It's the lack of interest in like examining the underlying reasons as to why this structural problem exists. And the structural problem exists because of capitalism, because people have lied for years and years about the profit motive and how that is the only reason why people do shit. Anyway.
Companies are pumping these products out into the population and telling us that we need them and then making insane amounts of money. And then also the government is in on it. And also they share a patent with Moderna. And also they share profits. And there's $700 million, however much money was made, whatever the number is that these guys made off of these products. Like, this is, all of it is fucking crazy. There's the revolving door between the CDC and the FDA and then these pharmaceutical drug companies. So the people that make the regulations then go on to have these cushy jobs with the pharmaceutical drug corporations. Like, oh, nothing to see here. It's like, it's open. It's right out in the open.
Right.
And when he talks about all that stuff in his book, you're just like, what the fuck, man? If this wasn't true, he would be sued.
No. American freedom of speech, unfortunately, in a circumstance like this, fortunately it exists, but unfortunately in circumstances like this one, make it virtually impossible to fucking genuinely be litigious against someone who writes unhinged shit in a book. Okay? That's it.
So it seems to be true.
Yeah.
And it's a scary thing because people don't want to talk about it because they don't want to be attacked. They don't want to be called an anti-vaxxer. That's a big one.
Right.
Anyway, so he endorsed Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in this video. What I find very funny about this is that he had a bit of a Kyle Rittenhouse moment. He endorsed RFK Jr. and immediately the Republicans were like, oh, what the fuck? Fuck you. Cat turd. Cat turd, one of my favorite political commentators in the space. Probably the GOAT, the greatest of all time to do it. The greatest white boy to ever do it. Came out and was talking about how Joe Rogan is gay. Like literally, immediately. It's like that. They have one defense. They did this. Do we have the... I know he pulled back on the endorsement. Guys, stop spoiling. I know. Do we have the cat turd trifecta talking about Joe Rogan and first defending Joe Rogan? I saw like a triple Monty out there on my Twitter timeline where it was like It was a compilation of cat turd takes about Joe Rogan, making fun of everyone that makes fun of Joe Rogan, and then turning around and then shitting on Joe Rogan himself. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Thank you. Cat third, the left crying about Joe Rogan 24/7 is making him 1,000 times more popular. Dear leftist, ... Joe Rogan can say anything he wants on his podcast, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it but cry. Joe Rogan endorses RFK Jr. So I've never been a Joe Rogan fan. Can't stand him. Yes, he has a popular podcast, but I've always thought he was absolutely politically dumb. He's great at figuring things out 2 years after we do. What a legend. So did it surprise me when he endorsed idiot RFK Jr. today? LOL. No. We are talking about the same fucking idiot who endorsed Bernie Sanders, right? He's the podcast equivalent of a dumb blonde joke. Who has the gayest low IQ dumb male blonde joke political infant podcast in the world? Joe Rogan. Answer A. Answer B. Also Joe Rogan. So that's the beauty of it all. These guys are a cult. Okay? They are an insane cult. And they did this to Kyle Rittenhouse the other day as well. I forgot to even cover it because there was so much other stuff going on. But if anyone has the link for the Kyle Rittenhouse memes, I would love to show you guys that as well. If you remember, Kyle Rittenhouse also came out and had a moment, had a brief moment. It was a blip, basically. Okay, where Kyle Rittenhouse himself. Themselves came out and was like, hey,